Alright, so you're done. You now know how to use and administer a MySQL database and even create a simple application that can interact with your database. So let's go over what we learned, what we talked about. We started out with our introduction, which we defined a database. We talked about MySQL and what it's used for. We talked about the different kinds of storage engines, including InnoDB and MyISAM, which are the most popular, the most common. And we also talked about what a data type is and what types are available to us. So we had numeric, strings, and date and times, which is the three categories that a data type can fit into. Once we talked about that and we got a good understanding of what MySQL is, we installed it in both Windows and Linux Ubuntu. And then we moved on and we installed XAMPP, which included Apache, PHP, and MySQL. And then we learned, we took a quick look at PHPMyAdmin and MySQL Workbench. So we planned our database. We talked about the basic rules and fundamentals to follow. We learned about normalization and how to implement it. We sketched out a design process that was simple and reliable. And we also mapped out our data structure in Notepad, and just so we could get a good overview of what our schema would look like. And once we did that, we implemented the database. We created it using the PHPMyAdmin tool. We learned how to back up and restore a database, which is very important. We created our tables and also our one-to-many relationships. And then we set up an orders table, which was a junction table, and that allowed us to create many-to-many relationships between customers and products. We performed a whole bunch of SQL queries, mostly in PHPMyAdmin, but we also took a look at the command line. We created select queries. We learned about the where clause. We inserted queries. We updated and deleted data. We also learned how we could create aliases, and we did table joins so that we could get data from more than one table. And we talked about more advanced SQL topics like union and concat, the count function, and other aggregation functions, the in clause, simple math we did through SQL, and we created subqueries, which are just queries within queries. And we also looked at group by so that we could actually see how many products each customer in our database purchased. And then we created a very simple application in PHP that allowed us to connect to a MySQL database, and we could display our data inside the browser and also use a form to insert data, and we could also edit and delete data from the browser. So that's what we learned. I hope that you took something from this lesson. I know I did. MySQL is probably the top ranked open source database that is available. So if you're a developer, it's kind of crucial that you learn it. And I hope this helped you get to that place, and I hope that you can use it in the future.